Morning, Ari.
Good morning, Ed.
You're living the dream, so why wouldn't you be? Is there any final thoughts you have?
Something to look forward to is...
What's your goal? Good morning, Ed Murphy from GreenTechHQ, an innovation centre in Enniscorthy, County Wexford, bringing together Irish entrepreneurs, investors, community, corporates, all working on the effects of climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, and in the sustainability sector. And this morning I have with me Aisling Boggan from Stafford Irish Spirits. And I'd like to welcome you first of all, Aisling.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. Beautiful.
Okay. And it's one of the reasons, I suppose, that GreenTech as an innovation centre in Enniscorthy, we want to talk to people in the area that are not just looking at business, they're not just looking at building businesses and products and services, whatever, but particularly that are looking at building products and services that are focused on the future in terms of sustainable, whether it's sustainable food, sustainable buildings, or sustainable services. So it's great to have a company in the food business in Enniscorthy, Stafford Farms and Slaney Farms. But it's great to be able to talk to them about the future of the products and the services that they actually deliver. So it's lovely to have you here, Aisling, and I'd like to just ask you, how did Slaney Farms start? Where did it start? How did it start? Who started it?
Well, the Stafford name and family have been farming that land for a very, very long time, hundreds of years, as a matter of fact. And what I've learned quite recently to do with the Taste Wexford mentoring program that we've been on with them is that this area was actually covered in oak trees thousands and thousands of years ago. And that's why the land is so rich and dark and so fertile in this whole area. So that's what adds to the fact that the potatoes and the growing and how rich the soil is. So it's all this huge, phenomenal story where it all begins way, way back when there was nobody. There's no pollution, there was no nothing. Yeah. So we are inheriting the rich soil the way that it is at the moment. And that's where the whole ethos around protecting the land has come from, especially from John, who owns the farm, and the family that work with it.
Yeah. Very, very, very interesting. So John Stafford inherited the farm and is now using the farm, and he started not only Slaney Farms, but in terms of people, and I come from a farming background in Wexford as well, but in terms of him, let's call it, looking at farming from a futuristic modern methodology whereby he not only produces but he actually processes and packages the produce at the farm. Tell me a little bit more about John doing that versus a farmer who just sells the raw materials, let's say.
Okay, well, that's really interesting because the reason why I have joined this particular farm is that there's a whole story behind it. Yeah. So it started off very small, and as the years progressed, he added more land, more innovation, more types of potatoes to it. And then with the ethos that he has to do with sustainability, the farm has, and the whole structure around it has been built around the sustainable part of what actually farming and protecting the land is all about. So potatoes will only go into the ground once every 4 years in terms of crop rotation. Wow. And when those potatoes aren't in the ground, we're growing barley and we're growing rye. And there's some of the bigger distilleries that are actually looking for that molten barley and molten rye. Yeah. So there's that whole ethos around what happens next, the energy levels on the farm. Because the farm is an Origin Green certified farm, that's the Irish government stamp for sustainability. I mean, like, it doesn't get any better. It's hard to get it. It's even harder to keep it. Yeah. So we have the whole team that's there on the farm have the same attitude around making sure that it is end-to-end process. The respect is there from the very beginning. And, you know, leadership comes from the top down.
Yeah.
So with John and every single thing that he does, it's all about the detail.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure to work in an environment like that where it's all about the future and always about what's next, how can we do it better, and even down to the fact that when the potatoes will break ground, something that's really unique about the Stafford farm is that we use a organic Irish seaweed. It's called Super 5. And it's gathered along the wild Atlantic Way. I mean, like, it is the potato farm that just keeps on giving in terms of a traditional story. And that's been quite an interesting thing for me to learn about. And I definitely think it's a piece of the puzzle and a piece of the consumer information that we're going to be shouting about going forward, because everybody wants something new. They want to understand what they're eating. And if we're growing a product where we're not using a synthetic fertilizer, we're using a product that's completely natural, it adds that type of depth to the product for the consumer. So it's been really exciting.
And Aisling, genuinely, I suppose, been interested in the potatoes first. It's just interesting, as you say, it's only grown in a particular soil once every 4 years. And you talked about Origin Green, and I on board BIA has the Origin Green, but it's one thing having Origin Green, it's another thing keeping it. But there is even different levels within Origin Green in terms of where does it fit in terms of Origin Green and the type of level that you're operating at.
So so the Stafford Slaney farm is an Origin Green gold standard farm.
So
And
it's gold
so
standard.
last year there were only 41 businesses with the gold standard, and
Ireland.
2 of those were potato farms.
Yeah.
So for a business like you would have in the local community like you have here, it's just really important that people begin to embrace what they have, to try to understand the caliber of business that's here on their doorstep. So when they're going shopping locally, that they actually look and they see and they say, wow, that's something that has a piece of sustainability. Because what I'm fascinated with potatoes is that they are gluten-free. They are vegan friendly, and you can feed a family with a bag of potatoes. And they are the food cost hero for every chef, for every plate, for every function. And what we did last year was really, really exciting, is that a lot of the potatoes are imported into Ireland for chippers. Okay, it's actually it's phenomenal the tonnage that is brought in from the UK for the chippers. But because of the terroir that we have, where this area is in Wexford, because classically it is the sunny southeast, it was like really exciting to lay down 4.5 acres of marquee potatoes. Now, marquees are the potatoes that are brought in from England. And when we took them out of the ground last year, they were a total match on a thing called a 00 fry colour almost, for what Irish people expect for a chipper chip to look like. So that's really exciting, because now we have a massive import substitution product. We also do baby potatoes, so that when it comes to the season of natural Irish baby potatoes, it means that we don't, as an island and as for customers, they don't have to keep using the English import. They don't have to use the French import. We have a product on the farm that is as good, if not better, because again, we are using the natural organic Irish seaweed to feed the crop.
Very
It's
interesting.
really exciting.
And it's funny how we're here in Enniscorthy and setting up an innovation centre dedicated to sustainability. And it's lovely to have a farm like Slaney Farms on our doorstep.
On the doorstep,
with such an interest and a focus on being a sustainable product provider. So
Absolutely.
it's fantastic. No, it's really good. And taking on then from further, where does the relationship, for instance, one of the things GreenTechHQ will be looking at is the circular economy. And I'm very interested in Slaney Farms in terms of how it embraces the circular economy in terms of taking Irish seaweed, and then maybe what it does with the potatoes that don't end up on the shelves in the supermarket. So you might tell me a little bit about that, and
Sure.
and where does the spirit business and come into?
Yeah, well, that's my absolute pleasure to explain that to you. And, you know, there is a business concept where you keep your business in your town and you keep your town in business.
Yeah.
So a lot of the bigger potato producers had decided to produce crisps,
Yep.
you know, like a potato chip. So John had a relationship, a friend that could actually produce, or he had the wherewithal and the knowledge as to how to produce this PNS, this potato neutral spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
so it means the potatoes have to be macerated, but this PNS is like liquid gold, right? Because you can do whatever you want with it then.
Yeah.
So what they decided was that if they were going to produce a gin, they were going to do something that was quite exceptional in terms of quality.
Yeah.
So this gin, this is the Jackford original.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like inside, actually, which is the clear one. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay. The reason why that there's a rooster on the front is because it's made with rooster potatoes.
All right.
Right.
Cool.
And it's kind of hiding in plain sight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they put real effort into it.
Yeah.
So it's won gold medals, it's won silver medals, it's won tastes, it's won awards. And basically, this product is made from what we would class as the wonky potatoes. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not the specification for the supermarket.
They're not the shape.
Yeah, they're just not the shape.
Yeah.
So that's what's sent down to the distillery to be macerated and to create the PNS. And then all of the botanicals are loaded up into it. The original recipe is 41%, and you have some amazing botanicals, which are like the secret sauce, that are actually go into it. But it even has like almond and licorice, which is black peppercorn.
Yeah.
It has lots of juniper in it. It has cassis in it. It has angelica in it. There's lots. Yeah. It's a very sophisticated gin, but it is absolutely sublimely delicious. And that's the thing. You can create something, but if it doesn't taste nice, and it does, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's really beautiful.
I've had the pleasure and I've loved it. Don't worry.
And then we kind of thought, we have a very...
But that's for men. Have you aimed for the ladies?
Well, this is the whole thing. So we sell the strawberries in the summertime. So Slaney Farm Wexford strawberries are a really strong brand, really strong, because everybody knows the Wexford strawberries are so sweet because, again, the terroir, it's the sunny southeast. They have the sugars when it comes to that time of the season. So we thought, well, hang on a minute now, let's have a go and we'll see if we can make something really special, and we'll put Wexford strawberries into the gin and we'll see what we can come up with. So the thing is that we call this a strawberry gin. We don't go by just the colour. It is an actual Wexford strawberry gin, which is incredible. So I'm just back from Dusseldorf with Bordbia, actually, from an international trade fair, and the reception that this gin got was it's actually so exciting because this product is headed for export, which is, it's amazing. It's amazing that local people maybe don't understand the gem and the jewel that they have. Yeah. But I'm sure with help and with proper marketing around it, that we can help encourage them to be able to say, wow, we've something that we can be exceptionally proud of. Not just the Wexford strawberries, but also the auxiliary products that go with it.
Yeah, fantastic. And tell me, in terms of what else, what's the future then of Slaney Farms? What's the future of the spirit business that you're now building?
Yeah, so look, like I said earlier in the interview, we grow molten barley and molten rye on the flip side of when the potatoes aren't in the ground. Yeah. It makes total sense for us to actually have our own premium whiskey. Yep. So that's in the development stages, which is something I'm really, really excited about, because everybody knows that Irish whiskey it's the best. It's the best in the world. It is hugely recognisable. Hugely recognisable.
Great.
It's going to be
it's
good.
Great. Well, actually, thank you for coming in. Thanks for giving us the story about Slaney Farms and Stafford Spirits. It's great. And we look forward to having you back again when you have 2 or 3 or 4 new products
Absolutely,
on the market.
So you can keep your eye. There's going to be more ahead. So it's very exciting. Good. A whole Jackford family is coming. It's great.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Take care. Good morning, Ari.
Good morning, Ed.
You're living the dream, so why wouldn't you be? Is there any final thoughts you have?
Something to look forward to.
What's your goal?